All right, what's up, everybody? It is Monday. It's time for Master Motivation. My name is Jason Flame with my special guest today, Mrs. Joelle Mancuso. How are you?
I am great. Boy, that intro, man.
Yeah. I
I'm
know.
gonna really deliver some stuff, or you're gonna take me down. I don't know what to
I I was getting a little bit of goosebumps. Like I love watching. Like I like the song, like the music. It's all
Oh,
good.
it's good.
Hey,
It's
so
good.
we had just a brief chance to talk before we got things started today, and this interview is going to be a little bit unique in the way that we have probably only met in person maybe a couple times, and I have followed you on social media for quite a while now, and I'm always drawn to the things that you post, the things that you talk about. I'm so interested in your story, and what really cemented the whole thing for me was I remember a conversation I had with your son. It was right after I think we were talking about career opportunities. One of the teachers brought me in, and he approached me after the class. And first of all, I was so amazed that he was so mature and so professional. He actually pitched me and said, "You should sign up for this program with my mom." And I said, "Well, I follow your mom and I see her on social media. I know what she does. And, it's something that we'll talk about at some point." So anyway, so I've been following you, and I just love the aura about you, and I can't wait to share your story. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Give us a brief history and background.
Oh my goodness. When you're 55, I don't know. That could take at least a week on your show. So let me give you the cliff notes that maybe are relevant to kind of what we're talking about. But I grew up in Huntington Beach. I'm a California native. My parents were both teachers. My mom was an art teacher. My dad was a phys ed teacher and a coach. So I was a coach's daughter. That definitely put me on the road to wanting to stay in fitness. I was from a very young age, elementary school, of being the family nutritionist. So that started really early. I came home and got everyone started on their health journey. And so as a family, we just had physical fitness around us all the time. I have been an athlete my entire life, played soccer around the year all the way until I was 18, played men's semi-pro soccer. It was just like my gig. But when I went off to school, which was down in Huntington Beach, a place called Golden West College, I didn't want to be kicked anymore. I really got tired of that many years of being kicked around, and I decided to play volleyball. So I played college volleyball and got into sports medicine. I was going to go pre-med, and then chemistry kicked me out, man. I hit I hit chemistry, and I that was it. It completely like mm. Therefore, really oddly enough, I went into communications and with public speaking, which was really odd, but I really had a affinity for it. And that's where I went to Golden West, and then I headed off to UCLA. I got their exercise science certificate because I really wanted to get back to being with people and training and showing people how to be healthy. So I jumped back in there. But at that time, I was introduced to a gentleman from South Africa named Johnny G. And he was in Santa Monica. And I happened to be dating someone at the time that was from South Africa. And he said, "We gotta go check out this program. It's on bikes. I don't know what this guy's doing, but he's my friend. Let's go check it out." And I walked into this studio, and he's actually, here's the connection for you. He's a black belt, and it was very martial arts walking in, and he had these bikes set up. They were Schwinn DX 900s. That's where it all started, and he had modified them to fit road bike pedals and that sort of thing. And I walked in to take a class. I loved it, and no one knew about it. It was like me and maybe two other people. He had just opened this studio, and he came up afterwards and he said, "You know what? I can't do all these classes. Would you consider instructing?" I was like, "Yeah, this is great." And that was spinning. It became spinning. So spinning started the category of indoor cycling. We kind of became the Kleenex of the industry because everyone says anything on an indoor cycling class in a group is spinning, which it actually isn't. But that's what we are, because we call, these are Kleenex, right? Not tissues.
Right. Right.
Just brand awareness. So I started writing all their educational materials, and we built that program up, and never knew it would last this long. My mom designed the logo that they still use to this day. I think she sold it to us for $50. And that's what I did through my whole most of my 20s. I traveled the world opening up countries for the spinning program and training master instructors. And that was amazing. That was amazing. And you know what? The mentality that he taught me through martial arts. I didn't do martial arts. I we played with it, in the studio, but I never studied it. But the mindset, because that's really what spinning was, and people don't understand this about spinning. And I'll change the spinning story, but spinning was developed to be a mental program, so that cyclists, and he was an endurance cyclist, when they went out on the road and they came back after a ride and they had their physical fitness all done, we would come inside on the bikes and we'd train our minds, because we didn't have to concentrate on the road, and we didn't have to worry about getting brushed by trucks and being run over. So we would sit on these bikes with clipped into these pedals, and we'd work on the mental game, because when you're an ultra endurance cyclist, you're going out for 24 hours, 48 hours. It's a mental game. It's complete mental toughness. Once your training's pretty solid, it's all mental toughness. And I know that you understand this, but that component is what made spinning. That it was really during a time when mind body was starting to be really popular. But that's what the program was really a training tool to take adversity and turn it into an opportunity, so that you can go out there and one pedal at a time, just getting down the road, getting to your goal. And it was very metaphorical. And that's what we taught in the early days. And of course, as we got out to thousands and hundreds of thousands, it lost a little bit of that and turned a little bit into a, faster, 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 go, 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 and kind of a whatever the instructor brought to it. But there's still some
Well,
masters out there that are original masters from we taught them, and they do the original spinning. So I just
and
had to share that.
I I love that we're kind of diving into, the whole premise of this show, talks about motivation, and the entire reason why I wanted to do these interviews is to allow people that have in some way inspired me or motivated me or changed my mental game and share these types of stories. And of course, you can see I'm wearing my 75 hard shirt today, which today is my first day of phase one. So I finished the first 75 days. Now it's 30 days of phase one. But you're talking about this mental toughness and this mind game. Honestly, I think spinning, like you explained it, like it's not tissue, it's Kleenex. So if you're riding a bike inside, it's spinning, right?
Right.
But I never knew there was such a mindset that went along with it. So go ahead and continue your story and talk a little bit more about that, because I think that a lot of people will really hone in on this.
Yeah, and thank you for allowing me to tell that story, because a lot of people don't know it. And I'm really proud that it's still around, because we never thought it would open up a category, and it did. And now we have Peloton. Peloton wouldn't have happened
Hmm.
without spinning, and Soul Cycle wouldn't have happened without spinning. All those things wouldn't have happened without spinning. So I feel very proud about it. And yeah, it has a warm place in my heart. And it also, just through the mental training, it really changed who I was as a young person. It really made me realize that the world was more than just me. And at the time, being in my early 20s, it was all about survival, because I was in LA and just trying to figure it all out, and just, survival mode. And a lot of people watching may remember, in your 20s, I didn't have home here in California except for myself. So it was really a lot of survival. And I was talking to Christian about that actually yesterday. It's his birthday today. He's turning
Oh,
19. And he was
19.
saying, I have three kids, 19, well, 19 now, 19, 20, 22. And he was saying to me, I really wanted to be doing more right now than I thought I'd be doing. And what were you like at 18? And what inspired you at 19? And where was your mindset? And we had this great conversation about it. And so I took this trip down with him about going out there and just always being concerned about me, 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 me. And what spinning and the mentality of it was about the gift of everyone else, not me, and that we were all part of a bigger picture. And I really hadn't thought that way before. So I have a really warm place in my heart for spinning, and always will. So after spinning, I got married. My husband, Joe, some of your watchers may know him. He was a coach for, I'm totally drawing a blank, for the Packers, for the Moore Park Packers from Pee Wee's 5 years old all the way up to 14. And if he could have gone into high school, he would have done that too. He absolutely loved, 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 as he said, raising the boys. It wasn't about winning, it was about that John Wooden philosophy of we're raising men, we're raising people. And so he and I bought a gym in Brentwood, California, and we ran a gym for 15 years, and it was terrific working with everybody. And I had 3 kids and homeschooled them all because that's what I wanted to do. I know everyone's kind of homeschooling now, and I
Right.
feel for you because if I decided to do it, I wasn't forced into it. It was something I planned for, but I hope everyone's doing okay out there with that. And now the kids are all grown. So I'm back. I'm back full force with helping people know how to not break their bodies. And I see time and time again that people are slowly committing suicide without knowing it. And I know that sounds very like, what? But most of the things, in fact, the top 3 things that we're dying of right now is lifestyle choices. And if you have someone dying of heart disease every 36 seconds, that's a problem because it's preventable, but it's a slow, slow thing. It starts early and builds up. So by the time that you're my age, you're broken, but you're not feeling it until you're my age. So my whole reason for being here and having my group Ageless Warriors is really about healing broken bodies and making sure that people aren't developing disease that they don't have to, and changing those lifestyle choices. So that's what gets me up in the morning. It's everything that I do. It vibrates off of me. It's like, let me show you how not to break this one thing we have. We have one life, one body. It's carrying us around, and that's who I am.
Well, and
Ageless.
before we dive into talking more about your mission with Ageless Warriors and talking about how you do that and how you work with people, eh, you talked about the coaching program. Moore Park Packers. That kind of dates the program a little bit because now the Packers and the Saints have combined, and now we're all Musketeers, which is really cool. My son has also gone through that youth program, and I absolutely love that mentality of raising young men and not because we do see coaches that kind of get off on the winning and they get off on the ego of it's my team, it's me that makes this all work, when really we do it for the kids. We do it to see them grow. And as you talked about ego and me at 18, 19, 20 years old, we live in a society now too where social media can really be all about me. I mean, we desperately seek these, how many likes we have, how many friends we have, how many views we like. We're so focused on that. But on the other hand, you're absolutely using this platform as a way to reach out to more people because as a martial artist, if we didn't have Zoom and we didn't have the online forum, my business may be almost completely gone. But because of this, we've been able to, as they say, pivot and you know I'm reaching. I have a friend who's here from Colorado, and he's able to teach his classes in Colorado to his students in Colorado from here because he couldn't get a flight home. They're snowed in.
Awesome.
So I mean, I'm going off a little bit on that, but I want to get back to now talking about Ageless Warriors and how you're using Facebook, social media as a platform to reach out to more people. And before I do, let's just say hi. My wife is watching. She says, "Thank you for being such a positive, factual source and an inspiration." And that's one of the things I love, because you've called me out a couple times, and
Have I?
well, in a good way, because I've made a comment on food choices or different things, and you've been very, very factual and very honest with, this is a better choice. So we'll get into all of that, but talk a little bit about Ageless Warriors.
Well, first I want to say the online thing, we have tools at our disposal and tools are great, but you also have to understand how you're using them. And I love social media. I don't think it's the same as in person. I don't think it ever will be the same as in person. You just don't have, there's something that happens between humans when you're in person that doesn't happen online. Therefore, the training does lose a little bit something. I mean, you know that from going online. But boy, I tell you, it saved us, right? In 2020, most of my stuff is online. I still see people in person, and I have to because it just kind of feeds my soul. But can it be abused? Can you get it on? Can you do too much of it? It's kind of a principle of life if you think about it, Jason. Can you have too much of anything? Yeah, it's all about balance, and it's all about knowing when you've gone off the rails. Are you on your sixth cup of coffee? Are you addicted to it? Do you maybe need to detox for a little bit to make sure you get that in line so you're not just going for the sixth cup of coffee? It's the same thing with social media or anything else. Is do I need to assess, look back up, assess what I'm doing, and decide if I can do it a better way. And is it serving me in the relationships around me? And I think that self assessment is part of that awareness that you need to have and constantly be doing. I do that as a parent with my family. We were just talking this week. I said, there seems to be kind of a disconnect. There's five of us and we're islands, and it seems like the islands are kind of we're more apart than tight. And we had a big 5-hour family powwow. It was so awesome. Everyone sat down. Actually, Christian ran the meeting. We were really talking on a very deep emotional level, just about each one of our needs and how we're doing and what plans we have and how we can support each other. And it's been about 4 weeks, and we were feeling this kind of disconnect again because we all get busy in our lives. Everyone's working and they're doing their thing, and they kind of we're doing everything in parallel, but we're not really in each other's face, eyeball to eyeball. And it's time. We need to assess and see where the balance needs to be, and we need to constantly be doing that because life just has this way of just marching on, and then before you know it, it's 10 years later and you're like, where the heck? And if you have kids, it's like then they're gone. We only have 18 years with them under our roofs to mentor them and to hopefully give them such a solid foundation, not because they're not going to fall down, because of course they will, but a solid touchstone that they always can come back to. 18 years is so short, so
Yeah,
short. I'm
this
really
is
feeling that now.
this is something that my wife and I talk about often. We often joke about passing like ships in the night, because she's so busy with her volunteering and things that she's always done for the kids, and then with my businesses and things that I'm doing, it's like sometimes we're here, and again, 75 hard was something that actually did us really good, because I had to get that second workout in, and I have to say, even she didn't want to every single time, we would go on a walk. And one of the things that I would go on my second workout, 45-minute walk outside, is that we had uninterrupted time to like really reconnect and talk about our goals together. I mean, even if it's just to talk about our day, like you
Yeah,
said, you feel like islands being spread further apart, but that was able to bring, and my daughter started walking with us. And one thing we try to do is, Sunday dinners is a really important time to just sit and talk all at the table together. Not something that I had a lot of when I was growing up, but it is so important. And I have a 19-year-old as well, and my son is 16, and he's driving now. It's like, where is he? I don't see him. And you got to bring that back together. So,
yeah. It
uh,
takes
I,
work. It takes work. You have to plan it, is what you have to do, because life has a way of just, like I said, marching on, and you have to stop and schedule it. And it's really important.
I agree 100%. So, talk to me about. So, let's go backwards a little bit. You were the daughter of a coach, correct? And so you grew up in a sports family. What were some challenges that you faced early on as a child that maybe kind of led into your adult life? Things that challenged you that maybe you had to work on a little bit more.
Oh gosh. I always joke that I've lived 5 lifetimes because there's just so many layers of growth and emotional growth. And wow, we growing up as the coach's daughter, and I don't know if this is generational. I don't know if some of you can understand if you had fathers like this, but my dad was definitely part of the quiet generation. Never really knew what he was thinking. Therefore, my sports is how we communicated. He would come home. He was a basketball coach, and he was an all city coach. I mean, he was a coach. His players loved him, and he was good. And he coached in Long Beach, and he was a John Wooden disciple, and that's how he coached. If you don't know how John Wooden coaches, he really is about raising up men first and foremost. I mean, he has stories of benching his stars because they had bad attitudes, and therefore I respected my dad, but we didn't have a really talking relationship. It was all over basketball. He would come home and I'd grab the ball and we'd play around the world, and it was became my goal to try to beat him, which was hard to do. To this day, he won't admit that I did beat him once. We joke about it, but that became our communication piece was through sports. I think sports just has become a metaphor for my life. Just staying in the game and knowing when you need to bench yourself and knowing when you need to press on, even when things hurt. I think it gave me some mental toughness, uh, but it definitely was not unscathed. I think between 17 and 25, I mean, life was a mess. Life was a mess. It was dark. I remember being depressed. Um, Oddly enough, classical music kind of saved my life through that period, and spinning and spinning physical. And it's interesting because there's two things. It's the mental emotional and then the physical part, and they're nicely married and they need to be married, and you have to have both things going on, and the physical part definitely changes your chemistry so that you can mentally handle life. Therefore, I think in answer to your question, sports really allowed me to develop in a way that was healthy to to stay the course. I don't know. I I don't know if that answered your question. I mean, I think I went through the same things everyone else does. Like, what in the heck am I doing with my life, and where am I, and what's this all about, and what do I do next, and should I choose door A or choose door B, and what if it doesn't work out, and am I enough, and do I matter, and all those questions. There's just kind of this messy soup until you start figuring things out. And but one point of that, and I you always have to constantly be looking to be inspired. Don't stop looking to be inspired. Always be learning, always be seeking, always wanting to know more, reading. I'm a crazy reader. I have 12 books going at one time. It's never enough because I I I don't get through the books. Let the books get through me. And each time I come away just knowing a little bit more about myself, a little bit more how I can help other people, and just constantly be inspired. If you don't wake up every morning inspired, then you need to start looking for inspiration. And it just kind of bleeds out to your family, to your kids, to your spouse.
That was perfect because my next question was going to be, what inspires you or who inspired you? Because as you talked about, as a young adult, dealing with anxiety, dealing with depression, dealing with just these dark thoughts, am I enough? But you said it, always look for people to inspire you and motivate you, and that's, I love these videos because this is going to, for so many people that watch this now, and it'll be on YouTube later, they'll always be there. um, I can tell you that there's been several times in my life that I'm just looking for those people that I can elevate myself, but then that helps me to elevate. I mean, I've been a teacher for a long time, and I know that my students suffer when I'm not inspired. So if I'm not looking for ways to inspire myself, motivate myself, I mean, I can tell you that I was very heavy at one time, and I just felt like, what am I doing? I'm an example for my students, my families, and I'm just not inspired. So I had to find something. I got into Spartan racing of all things. That was what really, I
That's
mean,
intense.
I got into that. And so who are some people that inspire you, or at that time motivated you to kind of get you out of that funk? Who are people that you look towards?
That's an interesting question. I remember someone asking me in my early 20s, who are your mentors? And I didn't have any. And it was kind of embarrassing because everyone had mentors. They were like, "Oh, so and so and so and so." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I there's this is a huge missing piece." And I decided I had to build it. I had to make it happen. Probably my very first mentor was a athletic director named Dwight Church, who saw when I was struggling as a young person. My parents were going divorced when I was in high school, and he kind of saw me struggling, and he would pull me into his office and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he kind of kept me on the right path when things were kind of spiraling in a bad place. So the athletic director, Dwight Church, and he just really was a hand reaching down. He didn't pass on like any. We didn't have any deep talks. He was kind of a gruff, athletic director, and probably grunted more than he spoke. But he was very well respected, and he saw me. And I think what's nice about that is to know that make sure that you see the people that are around you that maybe need to be seen, because it made a big deal when he reached down like that. And it was really just sitting in his office and not really doing much of anything. And then Johnny G, the founder and creator of indoor cycling and spinning, that was a big shift for me. Huge, huge, huge. And then when I became a parent, I decided I really need to rebuild my mentor base. And I started learning all about childhood development. And Marshall Rosenberg is a nonviolent communication, the founder of nonviolent communication, which gave me my communication tool belts, which I passed on to my kids. And I just learned from all sorts of amazing experts. Carla Hannaford, which was she's a brain expert. Peter Attia now is someone that I follow. I have a long list of people, but my point of this was to decide, when you get mentored, it doesn't have to be someone that you know. It can just be something that you're inspired by. I have another mentor, Dr. Shannon Brooks, and we together started a college. I'm on a board of a liberal arts college, and it's a small college, but it's a working farm, and we created this college to raise leaders for tomorrow, because we don't think the university system is doing a very good job right now of raising self-reliant kids who can go out there and know what to do and take self-responsibility, and that don't crumble at every adverse situation. So the kids, it's not for everybody, this college, but they do grow all their own food. They study liberal arts, very deep studying, and they have discussion, and it's a very unique college, and it's very dear to my heart. So the president of the college is one of my mentors, and he taught me all about thinking about the world. So I have different mentors for different parts of my life, because we can't have just one mentor. There's mentors for relationships, there's mentors for maybe parenting, and there's mentors for your emotional health and your communication style, and maybe mentors for your physical. We kind of need a whole team. But I tell you, that inspiration point, Jason, is so important. If we aren't inspired ourselves, we cannot inspire anybody. That's a principle.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. And as you were talking about having so many different mentors,
Yeah.
we have so many different facets of our life. And so I've actually I have I make a list of mine. I was building my list of people that I want to improve in this area. So this is who I look to. I want to improve in this area. And I think that that's, definitely, like you said, really a key to being able to, if I have a mentor, I have the ability to be an even better mentor to someone else. And I can also teach people to
Yeah.
mentor and how important that is. I mean, even at a young age in our school, leadership is a very important part of what we do, because if I can help develop a leader that develops further leaders, like you said, we have students and children and young adults that grow up that are able to handle adversity a lot more easily. It's never easy, but more
Yeah.
easily and with less stress or fear. And we got a couple of questions. I just wanted to drop these in here real quick. So I put it up a second ago, but Kevin Kowalczyk, who he's my friend that's out here from Colorado and has a martial arts school out there. He asks, "What keeps you motivated to reach for more?" I think you touched on it a bit, but do you want to expand on any other areas?
You know, I'm just never, and maybe this is something that I have to keep in balance. It's never enough. How about that tagline? Joelle Mancuso, it's never enough. I don't know how healthy that is, but I never, I feel like I can never know enough about things. I want to know it all. And I know in a lifetime I can't get to it all. So I have to be choiceful about what I seek, but I'm always looking to be inspired. And when I was educating my kids from home, I inspired, I didn't require. That was one of my tenets: inspire, don't require. And when my kids were not inspired to do something, it was because I wasn't inspired. And I made sure that every morning that they woke up, I had my nose in a book, or I had some project I was doing, and I was actually being inspired alongside them so that they could be inspired. And when we built our whole educational picture, my goal wasn't to create kids that were good at math or spelling or writing or anything like that. My goal was to have lifelong learners. I wanted them to be so hungry to know things, and so excited to know things and inspired to know things, that for me it was, I had to constantly keep my inspiration game 24, not 24/7, because I did sleep occasionally. I I had to keep that going. I think that that helped me. When we raise our kids, it's a big job for sure, and that became really important to me because I don't think I felt like I had that as a young person, and I wanted to recreate that. I wanted to make sure that my kids left my house being so inspired by life. And one reason my son approached you after class is because he was always inspired to ask questions and go deeper and know more and reach out and shake hands. So
I love that. I love that. I see this starting in, well, my daughter actually questions everything. And part of it, like, and since she was really young, like, she would never just kind of go with what she was told. It had to be, like, she had to understand it. And if she understand it, that she could follow. So she's always been a question asker. My son, on the other hand, a little bit more kind of go with the flow, but I see, you talk about, your kids watching you read and your kids watching you eat healthy. I mean, you don't need to tell them, just show them, and they'll kind of fall in line. And one of the things that I was telling my instructors the other day, just we had a team meeting, is when you talked about never enough, and I said the enemy of excellence is just being good enough, right? That's a quote that always sticks in my head. And you're always wanting to be a little bit better, work a little bit harder, do a little bit more. So I love that attitude. And wow, the comments are just rolling in. So I'm going to read these real quick. Jose Escobar, don't need to be in the same room as a mentor or even know them personally, still a mentor for sure, as they add value to our lives. And he also says the mentor must have the fruit on the tree in whatever life domain they speak into for you. And I can't wait. Jose will be a guest on our show as well. He's talk about a reader. If you look at that picture back there, that's his library, and he is oh my gosh, he's definitely the entrepreneur's bookshelf, I believe, is his Facebook group. So he's definitely posting books out there. One of my favorites recently, David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. Love that book. It just
I don't know it. What was that?
David Goggins,
David Goggins.
Can't Hurt Me. And because he was military, and he was just a crazy athlete. I don't know how many marathons he ran, and super ultra marathons, but it was the mental toughness that spoke to
Mhm.
me, that made me even want to read it. So that's a really good book. Dane Evans, I'm sure you know Dane. What do you think is the biggest difference? This is a really good question. What do you think is the biggest difference between someone who inspires and someone who motivates?
Um, I think the biggest difference eh, is that one. Think of if I inspired my kids by being inspired myself. So it was kind of a selfish thing, and it sounds when when you're on a plane and you have to get oxygen because the plane's going down. They always tell you to put the oxygen on you first because you have to be present. You have to have the wherewithal so you can help others. And I think the important thing is to I'm not so sure if they're different. To be motivated and inspired, I see them kind of on the same page, and I don't think that you can lead out unless you are inspired and motivated. I think I see motivation as more something that you're doing outside of yourself, and inspiration is more of a mental game. That's kind of how I see those two things. That mental picture is the mental part is so important, and just kind of this is a nice segue into Ageless Warriors. The what I teach in Ageless Warriors is not it's not mine. It's nature's. I don't own it, and you can't argue against it. It is what it is, and you can work with it or not work with it. And there's 5 things that you have to have down if you're going to have ultimate health. And the first thing is the mental thing. You've got to be able to get stress off your plate. And stress is an inside job. Stress starts with a thought. There's nothing stressful out there. It doesn't start that way. Jobs aren't stressful. Well, how you think about your job is going to create the stress. It always starts with a thought. Always. And some people argue against that, but you can't argue against that. It always starts with a thought. So, and if you don't have the thought part down, you can't have the next one down. And there's 5 of them. So stress management, I don't even like calling it management. Get stress out unless it's helping you uh, live. If you're ready to die and you need to, this happens in our cars. We're driving down the road and we have to swerve out of the way. We need that stress response in situations where we're trying to get out of a life or death situation. But if it's not life or death and you're standing in line at Starbucks and someone on the cup spells your name wrong and you get agitated, that's a problem. Nothing like that should ever agitate you. And you can raise that bar. And I know some people are very, I call it triggery, where things just trigger you when someone outside yourself doesn't behave a way that you'd like them to, or something in your life happens that you didn't expect. And it triggers, you have a thought, a feeling about it, and it triggers the whole cascade of stress hormones, which is the crux behind heart disease and a lot of diseases that we have. So that mental piece is important. If you're stressing, you're not sleeping. And sleep is huge. A lot of people come to me and say, what do I eat and how do I exercise? But I'm telling you, out of 5, that's 4 and 5. The first 3, they're more important than anything else before eating and exercise. Mental stress, sleep, 7 to 8 hours a night, and hydration. Those 3 things are more important than the to get in before the eating and the exercise. Because I can guarantee you, if you're a stress bunny, you're not sleeping. You're not sleeping well. And you're definitely not eating well if you're stressing. Because the first thing the body wants in stress response is quick energy, which is going to be snack food. No one stress eats salads, right? Nobody does. So, and then of course the food piece, and what I've been teaching people to do is to eat 1 ingredient foods. Do you know what 1 ingredient foods are?
Natural food, I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah. It's 1 ingredient foods. They don't need labels. The food is what the food is, and the body's going to recognize that as something that it knows what to do with it. So 1 ingredient foods, things that are natural to their source, and of course, sugar's not one of those. I always get that. Oh, sugar's one ingredient. Yeah, they put it in those. And then just properly exercising. You know, one thing I learned when I was doing ultra endurance cycling, I probably wore out my body pretty good, is that it's unbelievable how little you actually need to do to keep yourself healthy. It just needs to be more of a habit, and you need to make sure that you're moving more than you're not moving. And it's a lot easier than you think. And it's a little bit different when you get up and over 40, but and you're not competing for something like I know that your crew does, but it's a lot easier than you think. And like I said, it's not my program, it's just the program. And Ageless Warriors is a group I have on Facebook. I have a free group. People go in. If you are somebody, I'll tell you who it's for. If you are somebody that just needs some support, maybe you don't live in a household where you're getting a lot of support and you want to be healthy and you want to upgrade how you feel between the years, what you're thinking about, and you just need a positive place and you need some tips on how to improve your healthy lifestyle, that's a great place to go, because in that place it's all positive stuff, lots of information, and you can go there and you can enjoy that. And that's Ageless Warriors on Facebook. For people that are ready to get started and to reset their guts, and maybe they want to improve their stress, their trigger point, so it's a little bit higher and not so low. For people that need to have sleep issues, that maybe they've broken their body and they want to fix it, or maybe they really just want to make sure they don't break it. I have the tribe, and that is a personal, a private group that you can be a part of as a membership site. So I have those two options because I know there's two different people. There's different people that need different help, and that's what I'm doing on Facebook.
I love it. I love it. I see what you post just on your own profile, which again, as I mentioned in the very beginning, um, everything that you post is positive and uplifting. And um, it really struck me that you talk about stress, and it just all starts with a thought,
Mm.
right? It's just the thought, and then your response to that thought, because that thought starts kind of going to the next thought and the next thought and the next thought. Before you know it, you're like consumed with this stress, and it, we all deal with it. It happens to each and every one of us every single day. And sleep, um, sleep is I mean, your recovery time, right? Like your downtime, your almost somewhat of a reset
It's, you know
that
what,
we all need.
it's an afterthought. Sleep is an afterthought for most people. It's what we do, and we've done doing the stuff we were doing during the day, and we're tired, and we fall over and go to sleep. I mean, that's usually what sleep is relegated to. And sleep is actually something you should plan. You should plan it like a hot date. You need to take a bath. You need to get comfortable clothes. You need to really plan for it. I know that my perfect sleep time is 9:45 to 10:15. If I don't hit that window, and that's not everyone's window, that's just mine because I've
Mhm.
looked for it. And I know that if I go to sleep between that time, I have to start prepping for bed around 9 o'clock, which just means I'm off of screens, because the screens can keep you out of your circadian rhythm. And I make sure that I'm reading. And this is how I sleep like a champ. Always have 8 hours a night, no problem. And then I was doing some sleep studies and discovered that I wasn't hitting deep sleep. I had no idea. I had no idea. Most people don't know this unless you track your sleep. So I have a special ring called my Aura ring, which gives me some really great readings. But I discovered I was getting like 1% deep sleep and I needed to get 25%. And that was kind of alarming. How am I going to do this? I thought I was a great sleeper. I don't toss and turn. I go to bed, I wake up, I'm fine, but no deep sleep. And what was happening, my brain wasn't getting washed at night. So during the night, deep sleep is when your brain gets washed. So that when you wake up in the morning, you are sharp and like you're on fire. And after a while of not waking up exactly as sharp as I could be, I just got kind of used to knowing this is how I wake up, until my first night that I got deep sleep. It was eye opening. It was eye opening. I woke up and it was like, I don't know, someone cleaned my eyeballs or something. Everything was sharp. My thinking was sharp. My thinking was fast. And I was like, wow, I had no idea that I wasn't hitting my deep sleep cycles and that this was happening. So now I track my deep sleep cycles. I make sure I get a certain percentage, which is really important. And a lot of people will start not know that they're actually hitting dementia, or if you have Alzheimer's in your family and you need to be watching for that. These are things that you really need to watch. And so fine tuning your health and to make sure that you don't break your body in your 40s and 50s and 60s. I think you have a younger audience probably watching this tonight, but it starts in your 20s actually. It starts early, earlier than you think. You just don't feel it until you're about 60% on that disease scale. You don't feel it down at zero. And by the time you're at
Right.
60% of breaking your body, that's why it shows up in the 40s and 50s. It's not because you're getting old, it's because of lifelong slow steps to doing things that cause disease that you just don't feel till later. So, and that was the inspiration for me to be Ageless Warrior, because I hear so much all the time, "Oh, I'm just getting old. Yeah, I'm sore, my knees, my back, but I'm just getting old." And I
Mm,
call bull. Yes, your body does change when you get old, but probably because you're a lifestyle. So let's not do that. We can do better. Let's be inspired to do better.
I love it. I love it. Let's get back to a couple of comments here. Jose Escobar, going back, talking about mentors. How do you know it's time to upgrade and perhaps get a new mentor?
Oh, easy. You stop being inspired. You stop changing. And you reminded me of I have a book that I absolutely got inspired by. And sometimes, I'll have a stack of books and I'll start reading them, and I'm like, it's not doing it. It's not doing it. I'm not on fire. I'm not looking at the book going, I gotta get back in that book. If it's not inspiring, you put it down. It's not the right book. Don't slog through it. Go for inspiration. And we're really in a great time right now where YouTube, I mean, podcasts. Started going through the podcasts. I started going through podcasts because I'll go out and do my 10,000 steps. I'll put in my headset, and that's where I do my mindset stuff. And I'll listen to podcasts. And there's some that are just terrible, and I don't listen to them. I just, but you have to kind of work through them until you find the one, that sweet spot where you're just like, this is just what I needed. This is what I
Right,
needed.
right, right, right.
Found that with Joe Dispenza. Have you listened to any of his stuff?
What's it? Say the name.
Joe Dispenza.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Okay. You have to go look at his stuff. I'll send you a link. Joe Dispenza, he wrote a book that I read called You Are the Placebo. And what's nice about Joe's stuff is he goes into quantum physics. That, mind you, it's not dry and boring. It's great stuff. But he marries kind of the woo woo, what you would call the woo woo stuff, but he connects it to science so that you don't just think, oh, yeah, I don't think so, because he connects it to science. And he really talks about how your brain actually changes your physiology. So it has to start here. It's a head game. It has
For
to
sure.
start here. So Joe
You,
Dispenza, You Are the Placebo, but he is all over YouTube. You can kind of find out what he's about.
all right, all right. Jot
Yeah.
that down, guys. Make some notes. Check it out.
Yeah, he's
Um,
inspired right now. You can see he's inspiring me right now, so he might inspire you.
the the uh, the most recent, again, 75 hard being kind of a big focus in my life right now. Listening to Andy Frisella, aside from tons of f bombs, has just a lot of. He just, I don't know, he just gets me. He gets me going. Like if I'm listening to him while I'm working out at the gym, I feel like I lift twice as good. Um, so he's been great. And reading, I was never a reader.
Mhm.
Growing up, I just didn't really enjoy it, and I used to have all kinds of reasons and excuses of why I didn't. But again, with the program, for me, uh, 10 pages a day is the goal, right? And so I intentionally read 10 pages and only 10 pages, and every day I can't wait to get back to my book. And that's what I love, about kind of having the balance and just setting some parameters. I'm going to read every day, but I'm going to read 10 pages and that's it. I'm moving on because I got podcasts, I got interviews to do, I got teaching class to do. So, but it fits, and I've told that to a bunch of people, and they said, "Wow, I hated reading too." I have a friend, Daniel Groff, hated reading. He's like, "I look forward to my reading now because I limit myself to
That's
those
how you
10
create
pages."
habits, by the way. That 10 pages is how you create habits. I tell people that don't exercise very often, get up in the morning and exercise for 5 minutes. Can you do
Right,
5 minutes? Anyone can do 5 minutes. All
right,
right. If 5 minutes is tough, do 2 minutes.
yep,
I don't care how long, but every morning you exercise because that's how you create habits. And we actually live a groundhog's day because if you most of us are doing the same exact thing every single morning. I want you to pay attention tomorrow morning when you get up. What's the first thing that you do? Most people grab their phones. Most people grab their phones, but whatever your habits are, you you keep on doing those habits every single day. And so you're reliving the same day over and over and over again. If you want to see real change, you have to look at the habits you have. Again, it's that assessment piece. What do I do? What do I
hmm
do every single day? Do you get
right,
up in the morning and do you drink 16 ounces of water first thing because your body's dehydrated? That should be a habit. That will completely change how your body wakes up in the morning. Do you get up
totally,
in the morning and go straight to the coffee machine? You're going to turn off your wake up hormones. That's a bad habit. You got to reassess that one. Make sure you don't drink coffee for the first hour. So your cortisol and all the other wake up hormones have a chance to wake up the body naturally. That caffeine's telling your body, we don't need you anymore. I have a stimulant. And then all of a sudden those hormones are gone. And you wake up every morning and you're tired and groggy and you don't know why. Little things like that. So
100%.
get good habits in. Get good habits. I love coffee, but I know when to use it and when not to use it. So
Yeah,
that's
I
because
couldn't
good
agree more.
coffee, man, people get a little touchy about that. That's the truth.
Yeah, the water thing is key. I will drink 32 ounces, this full
Yeah,
32 ounces before I even get my first workout, and then during my workout another one, and then I go from there. And I kind of like coffee, but I've actually learned to use it. I typically fast 16 hours a day, and sometimes if I want my fast to last a little longer, coffee will get me 2 to 4 more hours, and I still and my workouts feel great. But I never thought that. I thought I had to eat all this different stuff, and like I thought that I had to do certain things. And like you said, you gotta really look at your habits, and is that really getting you the results that you want and need? And then I start sleeping better. I'm working out harder, and I'm got my day going. I sleep a lot better, and I'm a note taker, so everything, before I go to bed, notes, I wake up and I'm good to go, so I don't have to think about everything throughout
yeah,
the night.
yeah, yeah. No, that's great. And planning what you're gonna do the next day, the night before, is a really good strategy. It empties out your brain, so you're not thinking about what you're gonna do. And when you wake up in the morning, you hit the ground running because you already know what you've prepared to do. So that's a really good habit, Jason. Absolutely.
So a couple more comments and we'll wrap things up in just a few minutes here. Dane Evans is on an awesome, just an excellent weight loss journey right now. He's really taking control of his just his eating, his fitness. He just finally did a motorcycle race again. I'm so proud of him, and
Wow.
he's feeling really good about doing it. And he's definitely not a spring chicken. So, but he's back on the bike, so that's cool. And Mr. Kowalczyk is watching. Thank you again. And Kinsey, hello. And one more from Dane. He says, if you're anxious about this, will probably be our last question. If you're anxious about an upcoming test, he's talking about his martial arts test, or something big, milestone or event in life, how do you keep the good anxiety about it from becoming stress?
Okay. Great question. This is how you deal with stress. If you've triggered stress, so let me see your question here. Becoming stress. Well, if you're having a feeling about it, you're having a thought about it, so it's already happening. Uh, so actually, I'm actually doing a speech on this tomorrow. When you hit that stress response, so you have a thought, you have hormones that just start coursing through your body. Your body wants to do one of two things. It wants to fight or it wants to flee. We know the fight or flight response. I know that you know that,
Right.
Jason, and probably everyone watching. It wants to fight or flee to dump the hormones because those hormones are not supposed to be in your body for more than a few seconds, maybe a minute at the most. That's what they were designed for. But did you know most Americans are in a stress response 12 hours a day? That's
Wow.
why we're dying of heart disease every 36 seconds. Someone dies of heart disease is because of the stress. We are in a low grade stress all day long for things that we shouldn't be stressing about. So the key to it is to fight or flee. So the way that you would flee is you would go out for 3 minutes, all out effort. If you have a healthy body, and you can do this, not everyone can do this, but you want to dump those hormones because as long as those hormones are in there and that stress response, your brain's not turned on. Your brain's in survival mode, and most of the time we become really stupid. So you go outside and you sprint for as fast as you can, 3 minutes, and dump all the hormones. That's something I have my 19-year-old son do. If he's stressing out, I'm like, go for a run. I'm not interested in talking to you until you've sprinted up the street. And he comes home and he's a completely different person. That's a habit. Now, if you can't do that, you can do rapid amount push-ups. You can do burpees. You can. It just needs
Hmm.
to be some sort of rapid movement to dump those hormones. Okay. The next thing that you need to do is you need to slow down your breathing. There's something called box breathing. I'll show you how to do it. Do we have enough time to show you how to do box breathing?
Sure. Sure. We got about 2, 3 minutes.
Box breathing is something that the SEALs do, the Navy SEALs do, so they keep their mental about them when they're in stressful situations, which is all the time. So I want you to think about a square like a box, and you're gonna breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. Ready? Hold it for 4 seconds. Exhale through your mouth, 4 seconds. Hold, 4 seconds. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. That's box breathing. So you're doing 4, 4, 4, 4. You may have noticed if you did it that you've all of a sudden everything slowed down. So do the
For
box
sure.
breathing. Do it with your eyes closed because your body, when it's in fight or flight, would never close its eyes because if you're running for your life, which is what it thinks it's doing, you would never close your eyes. It
Right.
it does something to your brain that goes, wait a second, why are we closing our eyes? That doesn't make sense. And then you say to yourself, are you safe? And you answer that question. So you breathe, you close your eyes, breathe, and say, I am safe. And that tells your brain also that everything's fine. That slows the cascade of the hormones. And then the last thing you need to do is you need to fight the tiger, so to speak. Because if you just keep on fleeing from the tiger, after a while, he knows where you live.
Hmm.
So you need to get a piece of paper, get a pencil, and you're going to write down what your problem is, a very distinct paragraph about what your problem is. I am stressed out about money is not specific. I'm stressed out about money because the mortgage payment is happening next week and I don't know if I'm going to have enough money. That would be a little more specific. And then I want you to write 3 things of how you can remedy that situation. I can borrow money, I can work more hours, I can do, overtime. And always call your tribe because that's one thing we don't do. Call your tribe. Us humans are tribal and we forget we need to call our tribe because a lot of times there's people that can help us. So I encourage everyone to call the tribe. So those are kind of my really quick things with stress. And then meditation has to happen 30 minutes a day. That's how you raise the bar and you change your brain chemistry. Meditation. It's the only way to do it. And I'm not talking about woo woo candles, crossing my legs, I'm not talking about that stuff.
Right.
I'm talking about you get a app like Calm or Active Insight. They're free, and you listen to a guided meditation, and you check out, and you focus, and you make that sure that trigger that's happening in you is up here, not down low where everything's pissing you off. You don't want to live like that.
I love it. That was all really, really good
Long answer.
information. And but I love it. I actually feel like a little more calm right now. And there's a lot going on over here. Actually, you probably can't even see it or hear it. But as we wrap this up, I just want to really want to say thank you for spending time with us today, sharing not only your story but your thoughts of inspiration and motivation for others. I look forward to hearing some feedback from everybody that's watching now or will watch later. We will upload this video to my YouTube channel, which can be shared and used anytime. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. There's still several of you watching right now, and Joelle and I will take a look a little later this afternoon. So, Joelle, thank you so much. I want to wish you a really great rest of the week. Um,
Hey,
and
thank
keep
you. And Jason, what a great idea. I mean, when you said you were going to do this, you inspired me. I was like, oh, this sounds really fun. I would love to do this with people. So you've inspired me to reach out and even just recognize those people that have inspired me through my life. And so you have also been an inspiration. And I want to thank you. And I've been watching your guests come on and off, and wow, some really powerful people, and just learning about their journeys. It's really great. You're gifting us with this project that you're doing. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're welcome, and thank you. I every interview that I've done so far, and I look forward to doing. These are all people that have come in and out of my life through martial arts, through other platforms or other arenas in my life. I'll have some pro wrestling coaches, so I'm just really looking forward to it. And with that being said, coming up, guys, next week we have Mr. Mike Chat. Mike Chat is the creator of Extreme Martial Arts. Extreme Martial Arts is kind of a fusion of martial arts, gymnastics, acrobatics. They call him the Tony Hawk of martial arts. So it'd be cool to have him. Frank Silverman, one of my business mentors who really changed my life in our karate school. Frank Silverman is the executive director for the Martial Arts Industry Association. And I have several more. I have one every single Monday scheduled until the end of 2021. I have enough guests that I think I might even fill 2022. But some extra special guests. I have Ernie Reyes Jr. coming up. I have Chris Casamassa. Again, these are all big martial arts names. So if you're a martial artist, you're probably going, whoa, those are cool people. So, keep tuning in. Thank you, Joelle, because I do see you coming in each week and commenting. I appreciate that. I hope that everybody enjoyed it. Like, share, comment, follow me on Instagram, and I'm also Twitter and YouTube. So check the scroll at the bottom. Appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of the week.